Most of my life, I've had allergies and eczema off and on, and just kind of like digestive problems, and I had to eliminate foods. And then in my 20s, and lots of like just trauma and stress that I wasn't connecting to the physical symptoms. And so in my 20s, my whole entire body broke out in eczema, and then I did all of the conventional things that everybody would do, you know, like looked at metal toxicity, they looked at candida, I stopped eating sugar, you know, I was already gluten-free, dairy-free, and all of that. And it just kept getting worse, and my gut kept getting worse, and things weren't working. And then so like almost 20 years, well, 15 years later, in my 40s, continuous stress. I'm a high school counselor, so lots of, you know, energy always coming at me, but because I didn't have the right kind of energy field, I wasn't dealing with the stress in the right way. So I started to lose my voice. Every time I ate, I would choke. I couldn't breathe. I should say I'd had asthma my entire life, and it would just get worse. So like 2-3 bouts of cortisone inhaler, especially during allergy season. And it really got to the point where I was, you know, losing weight. They found like Barrett's esophagitis in me. I had all kinds of gut things that are a little bit hard to talk about just because they're embarrassing. And it got to the point where I couldn't work anymore, and my doctor put me on medical leave, and I found a program that led me to Dr. Joe. So I did Wired for Healing, and she quoted Dr. Joe's book, and Evolve Your Brain, and I had seen Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. So there was this little seed planted in me that you have influence over your body and the vibration of the cell. So I always believed there was an answer out there, but you know, acupuncture and whatever else I was doing, it just wasn't giving me what I needed because it was always out here, right? I was trying to heal myself matter to matter, and I hadn't made the connection that I needed to become my own placebo. And so a friend of mine who was also very sick, said, let's go to Toronto. And my husband drove me to the airports. My doctors put me on prednisone because I couldn't even drive myself. Like I was like hardly walking from here to there because I just couldn't breathe. And everybody's like, you gonna do this? And I'm like, yeah, because this is how I'm gonna get healthy. Like I just had this conviction, and I'd already been meditating every day, morning and night, using the blessing of the energy centers, and I just knew that that was it. And I started, you know, signing up for Dr. Joe Live. I was listening to Dr. Joe's voice, like he became my co-pilot. Like when I was driving, like I was reading his books, if you know, they were constantly on Audible, like listening to it, and I just really started like just rehearsing and started pruning my neural network. And I started getting healthy, and it took almost no time. My skin healed. I think I used my inhaler once, just very like briefly, because I just needed, it wasn't even an asthma attack. I think it was just like this like pulling me back into the past, right? And once I realized that's what I was doing, I know I never needed it again. And then I was trying to figure out how to get to an advanced workshop because there were tons of medical bills. And my work had put out, I'm a high school counselor, and they had put out grant opportunities for us to apply for. And my principal saw that I was applying Dr. Joe's work in my office and making a difference, and that I was getting healthier. And so they gave me a grant and paid for me to go to Indian Wells. And so I had this breakthrough there. My heart just ripped open. And in the second walking meditation, and I was like, the last bit's gonna happen. And I got home, and the next day, I get up in the morning, I'm blessing my energy centers, and I'm moving the energy up. And as I moved it back down, I had this explosion right here in my neck, which was the one place that things were still holding on to, and it was just these colorful spectacles of light, and I haven't had anything since. And so, yeah, and I've been doing the work every day.
So what do you think happened?
I just let go, and I just trusted, and I just connected to the divine, and I created a new body. I think that's really what happened. And then I kept wanting to come back because I knew I still had more work to do. And even though like my life was changing and I was changing and I'm making a difference all the time. And one place that I really notice it, there's 3 of us that are counselors in our building. And our caseloads are assigned randomly. in the last 3 years, my caseload has just worked out beautifully. And, you know, it's not that I don't have hard cases, but I just approach them differently. And I teach the kids the work, you know, in their language, in my own kind of interpretation of it. And it's making a difference. And I'm getting to teach mindfulness at school, and I go into meetings differently. And I got tested, you know, just like this last little bit. Some of like the emotions of the past kind of tugged at me, and life was like, you know, are you fully convicted? And I found myself slipping a little bit, and I knew that I was just going to get exactly what I needed, like another download. And I think I just continuously evolve and move through all of this, you know, my lessons and what I'm supposed to learn, and I don't miss a day, you know. And when I do, when I skip a beat, something knocks on the door and says, hey, did you see that? And then I just kind of keep doing the work.